Remembering the Fallen. I'm Chris Warner. We'll take you to the dedication of a new fallen officers memorial in Carthage.
Plus, as the temperatures rise, more people will be out hiking. We're going to have some tips on staying safe while you're out. And Missouri lawmakers get a step closer to finally passing a congressional redistricting plan.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Jasper County has a new memorial to honor fallen police officers. This is KOAM News at 6. The memorial was presented at a special ceremony today. KOAM's Chris Warner was there and has more.
This is the new memorial honoring fallen officers throughout Jasper County, something Sheriff Randy Kaiser says was a long time coming.
It occurred to me last year that we don't have something that recognizes all of the officers that have fallen in Jasper County, like one central location. And so we kind of came up with the idea of doing a wall here at the courthouse.
Kaiser says it's important to honor those who have laid down their lives for their fellow citizens.
It's a profession that men and women get into knowing what the risks are. And unfortunately, some of those people have paid the ultimate price. And I think that we've seen that just very recently, and I think that needs to be remembered and that needs to be commemorated.
Law enforcement agencies across the county were in attendance. They read the names of the fallen officers for their agencies.
Patrolman William Smith, Charles Corbin, Eli Gray, Sergeant Scott Warner.
That included the Joplin Police Department, which is still recovering from the tragedy in March.
It's still kind of tough because we just lost, 2 officers and had one seriously injured a few months back. So it's still very fresh on everyone's mind. So even though it's tough, I think it's an outstanding way to honor them.
Missouri's director of the Department of Public Safety was on hand as well for the ceremony.
Well, I think it's important for all communities to remember those that have served and paid the ultimate sacrifice within their community, and it states how important that memory is to those that may come behind them and also for future generations for public servants.
In Carthage, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Sheriff Kaiser says he plans to make this an annual event. Checking in with Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
Well, it turned out to be another warm and humid day across the region. Temperatures mainly low to mid 80s. The clouds actually kept our temps down just a little bit. A lot of mid, a lot of upper level clouds, especially along and south of the I-44 corridor, but it's still above where we should be for this time of the year. Not much going on here, but you don't have to track too far away to find showers and thunderstorms out across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. These are actually going to head toward us. I think they're going to fall apart once they hit about Wichita, so I do expect we stay dry as we go through the evening hours. Low to mid 80s right now, still a little windy, not as bad as what we had yesterday, but still the winds are kicking up, south winds at about 10 to 20. Through the evening hours, good evening to get outside if you would like. We drop back through the 80s, 70s, near 70 for an overnight low. Thunderstorm chances return. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
See you then. A Joplin woman pleads guilty to driving while intoxicated in a crash that killed 2 people in 2021. Authorities say Rita Glasgow stole and drove a car while intoxicated. She crashed into another vehicle at the intersection of 28th and Connecticut, killing Terry and Rhonda Copel of Joplin. Glasgow pleaded guilty to DWI, death of 2 or more, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. She'll be sentenced in July. A Springfield, Missouri man is dead after a fall during a hike at Buffalo National River. According to the Newton County, Arkansas Sheriff, the victim, identified as Bradley Thomas, was in a group led by a man in Arkansas operating a guide service without a license or insurance. It was not the first incident that tour guide had been involved in recently. After that weekend hiking accident, people may have concerns about hiking safety and how to avoid something similar happening to them. Well, Tim Smith, an administrative specialist with the Missouri Department of Conservation, says it's best to make sure that whoever is guiding your tour is certified to do so. He suggests going with someone registered with the National Park Service.
There are some people who are probably running guide services that are not registered or not legal, so to speak. I know National Park Services, they have some credentials you have to meet to be a guide service on their property.
Smith says it's important to always have an emergency plan in place when going on a hike or any outdoor activity. The Missouri House has passed a new congressional redistricting plan that could be put in place for this year's elections. The state Senate still needs to approve the plan before Friday's deadline to pass the legislation. The proposed voting districts are expected to continue Republicans' current 6-2 advantage over Democrats in the state's U.S. House delegation. Missouri is one of the last states still struggling to enact a congressional redistricting plan based on the 2020 census. Missouri House lawmakers rejected a proposed constitutional amendment guaranteeing parents control of their children's public education. If enacted by voters, the proposal also would have put constitutional restrictions on how teachers discuss race and racism. Some Republicans argued the legislation should be enacted through state law, not the Constitution. One Democrat said parents already have the right to control their children's education by homeschooling. Coming up, how a local school district is preparing students for summer school. Plus, an Oklahoma artist's plans to rebuild a statue that was cut up and stolen. As the school year comes to an end, summer school is coming right around the corner. The McDonald County School District is using a summer school program titled Summer Journey. The goal is to prepare students for the upcoming school year, and that includes giving supplies. Supplies will be delivered to schools in the district on Thursday.
So they open the box and get busy, and all of the supplies they need. And since it's such a hands-on program, there are a lot of supplies. Everything from cotton balls and colored pencils to pretty sophisticated electronics.
Summer school in McDonald County begins on June 1st, runs through June 29th. You can see a full list of what's included in the new program on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. The 100 Women Who Care organization donated $3,400 to the Higher Power Garage. That money is going to go toward getting more parts for the business. Now, the Higher Power Garage helps provide car maintenance for people on fixed incomes, veterans, single-parent households, and others in need.
Servant. And, this is part of it. This is part of serving those people because there's so much darkness, so many people that just are struggling out there. And, I can pick up a few pieces.
Higher Power Garage also has general maintenance and budgeting classes. A statue of a Native American ballet dancer, Marjorie Tallchief, has stood in Tulsa since 2007. Now it's in pieces. Authorities say it was stolen and cut up for scrap, but has since been mostly recovered. The pieces are back in the studio of the artist who created it. And as reporter Emery Bryant shows us, she's committed to putting it back together.
There are 6 pieces of the statue back in the studio, but several more somewhere that police haven't found. Sculptor Gary Henson is taking stock of what's left to work with.
We don't even know if we've got the other hand yet. So, in the 2 feet, we know pretty much one is mangled beyond use for sure, and the other one's missing.
Henson created the original Marjorie Tallchief statue, and he says he can rebuild it from what's left.
I did it once. I can do it again. And now I'm going to do it from pieces again. And you won't be able to tell that it was ever cut up.
The statue was bent until it broke off the base, then taken away and cut into pieces. The other statues at the Historical Society remain undamaged, but as a precaution, there's a plan to move them all further from the road and to higher pedestals.
Together in one piece, it's worth a whole lot of money, but you do this to it, and it's not worth much.
Some of the repairs will happen in a teaching studio in Chelsea at the Boys and Girls Club. Henson works here on most of his projects, and he wants the children in his art classes to see this one come back together. He was shocked that years after the statue was put on display, it was taken and cut apart.
Just a sinking feeling and sadness that anybody could do such a thing.
But now he's committed to rebuilding the Marjorie Tallchief statue and getting it back where it belongs.
Police say the pieces of that statue were found at different recycling centers in the Tulsa area. No arrests have been made in that case. A little bit later, the Pitt State baseball team is headed to Oklahoma for the Final Four in the MIAA Conference Tournament.
Plus the warm temperatures sticking around the next few days. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it definitely turned out to be another warm, humid day for us today. Temperatures right back up into the mid-80s during the afternoon, even upper 80s into our western counties, and the humidity kind of high, so that makes it feel even a little bit hotter than what it actually is. Now, thunderstorm chances will return by Friday. These are going to be hit and miss, not big lines that are going to drive through, but those chances will return Friday and then heading into the weekend. And of course, this time of the year, anytime you have a chance for thunderstorms, you pretty much at least have a low severe threat across the region. Well, Landers went down. But here's our Landers Chevrolet tower cam outside I-44. You can see our southerly winds across the region. Most of us are sitting 80 to about 82 degrees and then mid-80s once you get out into our western counties. So it's warm, it's humid, a little windy, south winds at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Not quite as windy as what we did see yesterday. A lot of mid and upper level clouds. This kept our temperature down just a hair. It's still up there, 81 south winds at 15. Humidity is at 77%. Through the evening hours, we slide back through the 80s, 70s, and eventually near 70 a little bit later on tonight. So those mid and upper level clouds kind of passing through all day long. They haven't produced any rain or anything, so we've stayed dry. We've had a nice chance to dry out a bit after all the heavy amounts of rain that we did see last night. Thunderstorms across Texas. These are going to push up into south central Kansas. They should die before they make it here, but something we'll keep our eyes on. And then bigger storm systems kind of waiting in the wings out across the western third of the country. And eventually, we're going to get some moisture back in here and chances for thunderstorms will start to increase. All right, for us tonight, kind of in and out of the clouds, we'll drop back near 70. We warm up back into the 80s. We'll stop at 4:30 in the afternoon. You can see most of us upper 80s to near 90 degrees. Here's your day planner. 70 in the morning, 83 by noon, high temp of 88, south winds. They're going to be light at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow night, still partly cloudy skies. We're back down near 70. Once again, let's go into Thursday. A carbon copy, very similar. We'll stop Thursday afternoon. Again, upper 80s to near 90 degrees. As we head into Thursday night, we'll start to get some clouds increasing, and that's when our chances for showers and thunderstorms will start to increase. Now, until then, we look fine. Also, the humidity kind of sticking around. Our temperatures warm up tomorrow. Our heat indices into lower 90s across the region, and the humidity sticks around over the next few days. All right, thunderstorms will form out to our west Thursday night. We may get some scattered storms in here on Friday, maybe even a few more popping up Friday afternoon. Then we just kind of stick around with slight chances each and every day. As we get closer to these days, these chances may go up a little bit, but the atmosphere is going to be unstable, so anything that does form will have that chance for severe thunderstorms. You can see here Sunday, thunderstorms close by again on Monday into Tuesday, so something we want to watch as we go into this weekend and next week. 88 for us tomorrow, 89 on Thursday, 84 Friday, some scattered thunderstorms, and staying very May-like temperatures into the 80s, and those hit and miss storms all the way into next week.
Yeah, May-like, I guess that means anything is possible.
Anything's
right?
possible, yep.
Thanks, Doug. Hey, take a look at our tower camera. It's sponsored by R.E. Smith Construction as work continues on the KOAM More Power project. Check it out anytime on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com/power. Still ahead, it's semifinal night at the Class 1 District 6 softball tournament in Liberal, and the Pitt State Gorillas prepare to head to Edmond, Oklahoma for the MIAA tournament semifinals. We're going to hear from the Gorillas on their matchup with Northeastern State next.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas are in the Final Four in the MIAA Conference Tournament. Now the Gorillas hit the road to Edmond, Oklahoma on Thursday, where they will face Northeastern State in the semifinals. Now, Pitt State is coming off a first-round series win over Missouri Southern. They'll be facing a Riverhawks team that kind of gave them trouble in the regular season. Northeastern State took 2 out of 3 from PSU in March and scored 38 runs in the 3-game series. So the Gorillas know they'll have to be good, but they're ready to get to Edmond and take their shot at a tournament title.
They're a very competitive baseball team. I think they lead the country in home runs, and we just saw a home run team in Missouri Southern. So we have to keep the ball down, change speeds, and give ourselves an opportunity to win.
They can swing it. They're a really good hitting team. They also have some pretty good pitchers up there, but that one thing that really shows is that they hit the ball really well, and we know that offensively we played pretty well there. Pitching has kind of stepped it up since we played them last, so hopefully we can just kind of come out and put both together.
Well, tonight is semifinal night at the Class 1 District 6 softball tournament in Liberal. After a first round bye, the top-seeded Jasper Eagles are up first tonight, facing Northeast Vernon County. Now, that one is already over, with Jasper rolling 12-2. On the other side of the bracket, it's the hometown Bulldogs and the Osceola Indians. That one is still going. We'll have highlights from both games right here tonight at 10. In Southeast Kansas, regular season finale for the Girard Trojans on the road against Colgan. And both pitchers rolling early. Ava Wilson, strikeout, ends the top of the second. Bottom of the inning, Lexi Robinson does the same for Girard. Game scoreless after 3. More from Robinson. This one scoreless until the 4th. Then in the 4th, bases loaded for Emmeline Senecott. She hit this too high to get out, but she's pretty strong. Grand slam for Emmeline Senecott. Girard gets by Colgan in a shutout tonight, 7-0. Well, Pitt State's Trace Mosby won the MIAA Heptathlon title over the weekend at Emporia State. For Mosby, it's her first outdoor heptathlon title in her decorated PSU career. But the most impressive part is how she did it. Mosby had not competed or even practiced this outdoor season leading up to the conference championships after a stress fracture in her foot put her in a walking boot for 6 weeks.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. There were a lot of question marks, and it was hard to hold your emotions together to watch it because it was so special, and to watch what she went through firsthand.
If you're afraid of hurting something that's already injured, fear can overcome you and kind of pull you away from what you're capable of doing. I've had times in the past where I've had to overcome little injuries, so I think the fear was a little bit easier to overcome this time. And thankfully waking up felt good enough to get going and get rolling, and adrenaline and memory kind of took everything else the rest of the way.
You can check out our full story with Mosby on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Donald Dinwiddie served in the U.S. Navy from 1963 to 1966. The Baxter Springs native was stationed in Vietnam and worked making liquid oxygen on the USS Ranger CV-61. He was also awarded the Presidential Citation Award. We salute Petty Officer 3rd Class Donald Dinwiddie, a 4-state hero. Here's a look at what's coming up on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. As inflation continues, one large meat company is posting more profit. Also, law enforcement reveal fresh details into the capture of inmate Casey White and Vicky White, and a look at the fraud involved in a federal government loan program during the pandemic. Those stories on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. We've had warm bordering on hot weather, and it's going to stay that way.
It is. Over the next several days, we stick into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. Heat indices a little bit higher than 90, but still mainly dry. Some scattered thunderstorms start getting in here Friday, and these are just kind of hit and miss. So I know it looks like a lot of rain, just hit and miss storms as we head into next week.
Final sports notes.
Pittsburgh State baseball's game against Northeastern State in the Final Four of the MIAA tournament, 4 p.m. on Thursday.
Very good. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here for KOAM News at 10. Let's make it a great evening.